My name's Brianna Edmonds.
I'm Sabrina Sharada.
Hi, my name is Marin Handel.
Hi, I'm Priscilla Robinson.
I'm Hannah Livingston.
I'm Darlene Davis.
I'm Evan Rabago. Can I start over? My bad. A good role model in the sport of basketball, I would say, would be Kobe Bryant, just because he always expects the best in his teammates. He always pushes them to be better, and he just always has a mindset to win.
I feel like our team looks up to a bunch of different teams, one of them being Live Oak, and that's one of the other high school cheer teams that we see when we go to nationals. Their precision and their very high skill ability. It's also very apparent that they work very hard, and I think that's like something very good for us to look up to, because we can only do our best when we're putting in our best work.
I think I'd say the U.S. women's national team just as a whole, but specifically Megan Rapinoe. I think what they've done for the women's game specifically has really been influential, especially advocating for like equal pay and things like that. It's just really nice to see. Soccer's really gone up in population for girls, and I think it's because of them.
A role model outside of VOHS has to be Alicia Johnson on the USA girls water polo team. A specific aspect of Alicia Johnson that I look up to is how high she can get out of the water in the goal and how she can efficiently block balls.
My role model is Katie Ledecky, and she's an Olympic swimmer, and swim is a big part of water polo. How fast she is and how long she can swim without taking a break, and that's something we really need in water polo, so I've always wanted to be like her.
My role model will probably be Peter Anderson. He's a good wrestler. He really inspires me. He's really determined. He's like always praising God and Jesus.
My role model would have to be Helen Maroulis. She's a 4-time Olympian champ. She's also not only a wrestler, but a female as well. I think that's just an inspiration, especially for like the female wrestling community.
I'd say the best highlight of our season was probably the road trip we had with a lot of our teammates. I think it was a good experience for us because we got to be closer as teammates. It really helped us build chemistry and work better on and off the court, and I think that helped us a lot during our season.
I feel like my favorite memory throughout all of my years of doing cheer at the high school is definitely the football games. That's the most like low energy thing we do the whole season. Like it's very like soak in the moment. And it's also super fun because before every home football game we do team dinners.
Not a lot of people hear us, but on our box and stuff, like we yell so many encouragements, and sometimes we decide to whip out our accents and just like yell different things, and it's really fun. But I also really enjoy like summertime practices, the ones that aren't like 5 a.m., but the later practices. After like with our teammates, we can go get breakfast and just hang out and just, you know, become a family.
I think I would say our last league game against Esperanza this year. They'd already posted on the Instagram that they were undefeated league champs, and then we ended up winning 1-0 in the last minute. I don't want to toot my own horn, but it was me. Yeah, and then they had to take down the Instagram post, and it took us to CIF, the highlight of my year.
My favorite memory of season is winning league champs for the first time. It was the first time in 20 years, I believe. So it was really nice, and then we got to push our coach in the pool.
My favorite memory of the season is winning league champs our second time and getting to push our coach in the pool. Our first game, which was going to be our hardest one, we went into 2 overtimes, and then we ended up winning it with like a minute left. And it was just super exciting when we were all yelling at our girl when she scored, and just everyone was really excited, and all the parents were there cheering us on, so it's just really exciting.
It would probably be when Angela got choked out by Coach Sluter.
I'd have to say hosting at Spring, definitely favorite moment, just having fun after the tournament and even before, you know.
For the future captains of the basketball team, I would just say to make sure that your teammates could trust you, you know, take accountability for everything and make sure that like that you're somebody that they could like look up to and like follow what you do. Always work hard.
Personally, I would say like you don't always have to be so nice to everyone, because as a captain you're meant to be a leader, and like as a leader, you have to sometimes do things and say things that you're not comfortable doing or saying.
To add on to that, I feel like it's really important to have a fun side. It can really turn around a practice and make it from a bad one to a great one. So that's important as well.
Yeah, it's just good to find like the balance.
I think I would just say to make sure that the group is connected and is really, friends off the field. You have to be able to work together off the field and be friends off the field in order to have good chemistry on the field. So I think just establishing a good group bond and making sure that everyone feels appreciated.
And advice I would give to a future captain is even if you feel down and you're not feeling that you're going to win the game, you should still lift up everyone else's spirits and still encourage them, still try to believe that you're gonna win even if you don't feel like you are.
Not like blame your team on something that went wrong, because it is obviously water polo is a team sport, and if one of us makes a mistake, then we all have to own up to it. And if we lose one game, it's not the end of the world. Like, we lost our first water polo game this year and we still came back and won league, so never give up.
Definitely, it's hard at first, because you don't know a lot of the new people. So definitely try to learn everyone's names the best you can, and just get along with everyone. But make sure you're strong and clear with your voice to make sure everyone knows that you are the leader.
I think the hardest part is probably just having commitment and wanting to be better, because I feel like a lot of times, people take it for granted and they don't work as hard as they should. It takes a lot out of you as a player and a person, so I think commitment is probably the hardest thing.
I feel like something that's really hard about cheer is obviously like the mental aspect. I feel like the sport is 80 to 90% mental and only 10 to 20% physical. If you really tried, anyone could be a good cheerleading athlete, but the hard part about it is when you put it all together, if you have the mental toughness to constantly persevere through doing it over and over again and not having the outcome that you want. Like, we could be doing full outs at practice and drop 5 stunts in a row. The only way you're gonna hit those 5 stunts again is if you have the mental toughness after the fact. And a huge part of cheer is always wanting more. So maybe we're doing a stunt and it bobbles, but then this time we're like, no, it can't bobble. Having that continuous mental hunger for wanting to get better and wanting to be better is the hardest part about being a good cheerleading athlete.
Every girl on there knows that they can hit a skill, but the nervousness of everything, of having to hit it out on a competition, it's a feeling that we can't even describe. You have to calm yourself down, because if you go out there all anxious and crazy, you're gonna drop your stunt.
You basically have to be your own therapist.
Yeah,
that's
pretty much.
The simplest way to put it. You have to be your own therapist. You have to learn how to control and suppress your emotions when we're under a lot of pressure and a lot of stress.
With cheer too, in a stunt group there's 4 people. If one girl decides that they're gonna freak out or that they're not gonna try as hard, that whole stunt is coming down. It doesn't matter if everyone else in the skill is trying. If one girl doesn't try, it's coming down. So everyone needs to be on the same page, working together as hard as they possibly can.
I think soccer is easy to learn, but it's hard to master, if that makes sense. It takes a lot more skill than people realize to be good at soccer. And it's also incredibly challenging fitness-wise, having the stamina to play a full 90 minutes where sometimes you're sprinting, sometimes you're jogging, sometimes you're walking, all while trying to play with a ball can be difficult.
The hardest part about water polo is the fact that it's basically like soccer or hockey, but just imagine how hard that is and then do it in a pool. It's also very aggressive. I mean, we've all been punched, kicked, grabbed. It's just kind of part of the sport. We won't get penalties for it because it's all under the water.
Yeah, it's really hard to keep on swimming back and forth, if you're a field player or if you're a goalie and trying to block the balls and constantly getting 2 meters and having to get back up. The penalties that you can't see underwater, so you still have to deal with people kicking you underwater and continuing to play and all that.
We would do summer workouts and we would be dying, hundreds of squats just to get it to we can play a whole game without passing out in the water.
And definitely with the strength portion, everyone has to guard other girls, and then you have to keep afloat out of the water. You're just trying not to drown because you can't really sit down or even grab the wall.
Yeah, you can just push your girl underwater if you want, and you have to be able to hold someone else's strength on your back while you're also trying to stay above water, and your coach is yelling at you and you're like, please, I need to get subbed out. But yeah, we have to have a lot of stamina and strength for sure.
I would say just the fact of having to manage your weight. You don't get to eat whatever you want. You don't get to drink water, as much water as you'd like. You don't get to drink whatever. It's hard having to do that and like leading up to practice or a tournament.
I mean, wrestling, it's a full body sport, you know? We're not only using our arm or our legs, it's our whole body. So definitely, our whole body is our tool, you know? It's definitely hard, you know? Each day after practice, we're sore, we're hurting, we're hungry. So I think that's just the hardest part.
Also, the fact that it's like, when you're competing, it's just you. You don't have a team to rely on. Like, it's just you versus another person, like the truest form of competition.
If any of you were in a 6-minute match, you wouldn't be able to last 30 seconds.
I would say wrestling's the hardest.
Yeah, wrestling's the hardest.
Easily.
Because you continue to sprint for 90. Soccer has a lot more components than some do.
Obviously, cheer is the hardest.
Holding a person kind of beats out running.
I'd probably say we have the most stamina.
I don't think any of you guys could last a water polo game.
You wouldn't be able to last 6
but
minutes.